if the future of media is already breaking under pressure? Hello to Semezane family, Dennis Ondiek here, and yes, it's been a while. 3 months in fact since our last deep dive, but some conversations are worth the wait. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the untold story of the next generation of journalists, creators, and communicators. They are battling everything from constant digital visibility to the looming shadow of AI, all while trying to find their voice. Who's got their back? Join me now as we get unscripted with our esteemed guest. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dennis.
And thank you for joining me today.
Yes.
Well, first of all, I would like to know what made you or what force drove you to this particular segment in the university.
Okay. My name is Festus Zirongo, and I'm the current head of department, the Department of Journalism, Film, Media and Communication Studies here at Mount Kigari University. Now, answering your question and the issue of why I chose the academic leadership, it is part of the career growth. My experience of being a trainer, a media trainer, spanned from 2009 back in Kenya from a college level, that time Nairobi Institute of Business Studies, that is a technical institute offering diploma courses. And when I talk of diploma, I'm talking in the Kenyan perspective, not the high school perspective of here in Rwanda. That is more of a TVET level. So I started at TVET level because it's under TVET. And God have been faithful and graceful with me, because you know you are performing with the leadership of a university or an institute where you are working, get to see that you're working and they give you that promotion. It is not that I demanded to be promoted, it is my performance that made me to be promoted. And I thank God, because among all the staff we had, I was the one who was selected to head the department. And I am happy to say there are certain things we have transformed and we are still transforming. And there are so many things we have done. So maybe to touch part of it, when I joined this institution in 2018, that time it was Mount Kenya, though I had worked in Thika. Then I transferred here in Kigari when a full-time opportunity came into being. I can say when I joined this department, it had a very few students, because at that time we were around 150 to 200, and we only had a program in the evening. And today, when I look back, I'm just grateful to God that now the department has hit over 300 students. The Department of Media alone, of course, the other department I'm heading, the other programs like the Counseling Psychology of Mount Kenya. There is a Masters of International Relations and a Masters of Counseling, the Peace and Security and Criminology, all those program and development studies, and also social work are part of the social science that I'm currently heading. So when I look back, I can really say as a department, there is a lot we have achieved, including this transition period that is working toward ensuring that we transition from Mount Kenya to Mount Kigari, developing new curriculums and ensuring that now we are able to modularize from the unit-based to the module-based program here in Rwanda.
Thank you very much for that response, and it's a very good thing to begin from that. Now, as the head of department in Mount Kigali, you have many students, I understand, who are battling to know themselves as journalists and communicators in future. But there is a rise of AI, and some students may fear that in future they may lose their job because of the AI. Now, as from your department, how are you making these students prepared to face this challenge waiting for them?
Actually, thank you for asking that question. Actually, my PhD topic is on AI. That is the disruptive nature of artificial intelligence in the learning process and in journalism in particular. And I'm happy you have asked that question. So it's a topic that is deep in my heart and I want to investigate.
Okay.
It's also an imagining issue. And when I check about how maybe students are handling this, my issue is for them not to see AI as a disruption, but rather as a tool that will make them better. They should not be competing with AI because at the end of the day, you need the human capacity. They should not see an AI as something that is coming to take their job. Of course, there are some jobs, if you don't, what they usually say,
Yes.
if you don't change, will change you over or will take you over. So it's a higher upon time, those who will be able to master the AI tools will be able to become better. And when we are training them in different programs like the digital journalism,
Yes.
we are emphasizing the right and the most ethical use of the AI because it's important for them to learn how to use artificial intelligence by using the right method, by using the right way, and also prompting it to ask the right way. So for me, I will not see an AI as a challenge to take jobs. Of course, it will take some jobs, but it's also for them to be much prepared and for AI to help them maybe become more effective and more efficient at their workplace. And especially in this media, it's media related. So a student of media would be seeing it as a God-given thing because it's coming to assist them. There are companies who will be looking for people who are efficient in the usage of AI.
Yeah.
So it will actually create more jobs for people who are in the media and ICT. Because if you now master the tool, those are the people that organization will be looking. If you don't master the tool, you'll be shelved away. So so somebody in the department, in my department, my student, I'm encouraging them continue practicing and becoming more professional and more efficient in using them. And when you become a pro in that, companies will be looking for you to help them manage their organization, social media, and also AI department. And it comes also to the issue of data management because we come in there, we are the information people. So we are the one to advise the organization that even as, because I know many workers are using it. So do they know where this information is going? So we come in there as the informational people to help and advise the companies on the dangers if the workers keep on using AI. Because in Africa, we are disadvantaged. Today I was reading an article that in Denmark, they have passed a law that all the AI companies have to have infrastructure in Denmark such that the information is not shared, which is not in the case in our Africa, most of our African countries. This information, the servers are outside Africa. So that means we are sharing our information for free. We know information is money.
Thank you very much. So the students, you should not be worried. You should just take the opportunity to learn how to use those AI tools to better your profession. So it's there just to help you, but make sure you use the appropriate time and learn very well. So to move on, we also always complain about addiction, social media addiction. And like for these students of mass media, it's their future workplace and it's their networking zones. So how are you teaching them to set healthy boundaries about this social media?
I usually tell people everything is balancing. Even if you like meat a lot, a lot of it is poisonous. Even water, if you drink too much, it also becomes poisonous to your body. It's all about balance. Take the right thing. If, for instance, you're a social media manager, then you need to be more online. But if you're not, you are working on something else. For example, you are a reporter. You have to go to the field. You can't be interviewing somebody. Now imagine you are here. You are on the social media. How will I take it as an interviewee? So you also need to sometimes to read and do some research so that you also make your maybe your mind more knowledgeable on different things that are happening in the world. So it's all about balance. Because if you don't balance, the world is not like that. You need to have a proper balance in between the time you have in social media and the time you have on your personal issues. So let's have a balance, proper balance.
Yeah.
As social media users, yes, it is good to be in social media, but don't you take it, you are not even sleeping, you're not even having time. Yeah. Sometimes I go on TikTok, you find somebody has been on TikTok for 24/7. That is not healthy, because it will affect your health. You're not sleeping the required time. You're all the time telling people tap. So you need to be very careful what time you use. Again, if you're employed, some organizations have policies on how many hours you should spend on social media, because you cannot be in social media and yet you're working. So it should be on your free time, unless you are the social manager and you are managing social media. That time you need to be more on social media.
Thank you very much. So the students, you have to take caution. Everything which is used in excess is always harmful. So you have to control. It's not a limit, but because you are the ones who are working there, it's your networking place. As the advice from the HOD, head of department, and as somebody who is expert in that, we have to balance life in general. Anyway, to move on, I like to ask, we have this mass media student, they are supposed to be in the screen, gathering news all the time. But how do you train them to manage this headline fatigue? Because they need to be informed 24 hours. How do you train them to manage this headline fatigue?
Anyone who is in communication sector, anyone who is in media, need to be versed with current affairs. That is the first quality. You cannot be informing others when you yourself are not informed. It's not the issue of being a headline maker, but at least knowing what is happening around. It is very essential. I know it will be giving you pressure to always keeping updated on what is happening around the world, but it is important as a media journalist, you be well versed. At least I usually advise my student, when you wake up, open the national newspaper. Make it a habit. Before you even go to social media, open the national newspaper, open the national website. If it is like in Rwanda, make sure at least you have access to IGIHE, you have access to KT Press, you have access to New Time, the New Times publication, and the RBA website. Go and see what is trending. Then, of course, social media come in there. If you're in X, you'll be knowing what is making headline through it. You cannot be there and you don't know that we have had a volcano in Ethiopia and you are calling yourself a journalist. So it is very important to keep yourself updated. The international media, maybe like BBC, Al Jazeera, CNN, make sure that you follow those websites. But again, I'm not saying that all the time, even at home, you don't have a personal time, that all the time you're thinking about. Also love yourself, to love yourself. And you have a boundaries when you're at home. You're not a journalist, you're not someone else. You are into the family, you are looking into your family, you are socializing like a normal human being at the end of it.
Thank you very much for the good explanation. I would like to ask, for example, here at the school, in the university, you know you are training communicators who are skeptical sometimes and who can communicate very well. You find you have like a change of policy, or there is an emergency or some problem in the school whereby students can inform or give information even faster than the administration. How do you see this in the school and how it can affect the management of the school?
As somebody who have taught crisis communication, does it fall under crisis communication?
Yes.
One of the things that many organizations need to take into consideration is handling crisis, and especially when it comes, and it's not only organization, even government. If I can take you back to Kenya, the reason why there was Gen Z protests is because the government did not manage the crisis properly. There was lack of proper crisis communication because there was I think it was a gap between the old generation and the Gen Zs. The way we communicate. These guys are very sharp. The way they communicate. They communicate with graffiti. They are using a language that is pygmy, that is not the one we are using. So there is a way they can be able to communicate. If you are not careful, you cannot be able to hear. So it is very important as a person who is in charge of communication, know how to handle that communication. Because if you don't handle it well, it will become crisis. So, and I always advise my student, come up with a crisis communication plan. In communication plan, even organization, and this is my advice, not just to us here who are handling students who are able to transmit this message very fast, and even administration, is having a crisis communication plan. Of course, have a crisis communication plan where you're able to identify the crisis, how you will manage it before it become a big issue that will affect the organization. Because once the crisis has happened, it is very hard. So handle it at the issue stage. So address that. Have mechanism that will be able to identify the issues that you have, the communication problem that you have as an organization. Because if you don't do that, you'll have challenge as a company. So on matters of students, we have had issues. We have had students just writing something and even tagging ministers. When ministers, you know, you can imagine you write something. We had a case of a student who wrote that we are not having internet. Yes, it was internet there. But this student tagged so many ministries. Rura had to come here. So you can imagine such a case. They are coming, we are saying you people in Rwanda, and he had not written about Kigali. He's saying Rwanda University, they are not internet, which was misinformation. So we had to deal with that crisis because it's a crisis now. When the senior administration, the minister now is in the no, has to ask why don't we have internet? Because and it was a big problem that time. We had some issues. There were some water, some what you call electrical discharge that had burned the servers, etc. So, but we maybe made the proper communication to the student that this time around we are going to face this problem because of X, Y, Z. The student would have understood. We do not have gone to that level. So, but it happened. So we had to resolve the crisis, and we had to follow the proper way of handling crisis, and the crisis was solved. You will face, because we are dealing with students who are even faster than us. They even have what you call celebrity profiles. Some of them are influencers. They have more followers than even the institution itself. So that means they're able to reach to so many people. So you have to know how to manage, and you set the rules of what information can be shared outside and what cannot be shared outside with the public. And the most important thing, have the main source. So if somebody needs to get the institutional stand on something, let's have the vice chancellor be the one giving out information. In the story like that one, maybe no one spoke to the vice chancellor. So you see, maybe somebody spoke to a student there. So it's also the way we train our journalists. So maybe for that, that journalist had wanted to become more celebrity than just writing and following the legal setup and the ethical setup that have been put in place, and ensuring objectivity and fairness when you are writing the story.
Okay, as we almost wrap up now, I'll ask, students are supposed to learn in some anonymity, and then you find they are supposed to even have some websites before even they actually graduate, which can sometimes affect their individual life. So as a head of department and somebody who is expert in this journalism and the mass media and communication actually, how do you help these students at least to balance their personal life and this public life, because they have to come to the public even before they actually graduate?
On my side, if you have joined the area of communication, you become a public figure. Because you cannot be informing us about others, yet you want to hide yourself. So the anonymity on your side, you have to give up that. I know some people want to be closed, unless maybe you want to become behind the camera person,
yeah,
where you don't want to be seen. But as long as you will be reporting and you need that also celebrity status or that to be known, also be willing also to
expose yourself.
Be exposed.
Yeah.
Because if you do not, then I don't know how you can become a very good journalist or a good communicator or a presenter.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's all about balancing the two. So, but now it is also important what you share is very important. What kind of content are you sharing?
Yeah.
Is it the right content, or you are just sharing things that will end up damaging your image as a person?
Yeah.
So it is very important you get to know what kind of information are you sharing, what kind of news are you giving there outside. Are you sharing lies? We have had issues, RIB and government officials complaining, whereby some YouTubers just record even kids without following the ethical requirements that are required, or people with the marginalized community. Like somebody interviews a disabled person, he's doing this to make his own money. Yeah. So it's very important you set a limit. You know, this is the information I can share, this is the information that I may not share. So it's very important, follow the ethical requirement that has been set.
Thank you very much. Now I'll ask you the last question. As you work with the students, there are many pressures you find they have. Maybe for you as an educator and somebody who is very close to them, there may be something which pressurizes students always. Can you tell us maybe if there is something, as if you have power to remove it from that struggle, you can?
Thank you. I think you have been God-sent. Right? Your topic is so relevant to what we are saying, we are doing as a department.
Yeah.
Already we have a plan in place. As you know, there is a visit I made to Egypt. Part of the program, there is a project we are going to run with UNESCO, that is stress and trauma in journalism, training, and reporting. So we are going to target students. We'll be training students. How do they handle stress? How do they handle trauma?
Yeah.
Because you may think students don't know how to handle, and when they are doing their own reporting, and in future, because now most of journalists are also facing trauma, they're also facing a lot of stress in the newsroom. So we will be training them, journalists doing media and communication, and also trainers of trainers, and also the journalists who are in the field. So that project is trying to target those 3 specific facts, but we are going to start with the trainers of trainers, and then we go to student, and then we go to the media house, because these students, when they finish here, we may not target majority of them with sample because of the funding that has been released, but we'll try as much as possible. And this one we are doing because when journalists, and not just journalists, workers are facing a lot of stress, they are facing a lot of trauma. How do you identify it? In our training, we'll be inviting psychologists, because we may not be expert in that area. So who will be telling us, how do you note that you have stress? How do you identify that you have trauma in one way or another? So it is going to be so important to us, so that we can help to identify, because most of the students are facing a lot of issues. In my capacity as the head of department, I talk to so many students. Some don't even have school fees. Some parents have told them, I'm not paying school fees anymore, I don't have money. And it is true, they don't have. But these students want to study. So how do you help this person? So some of them are facing a lot of issues, a lot of problems, but they are trying to balance and manage the 3. So I think once that project, because we are starting to implement it in January, or already the trainers of trainers we have had one masterclass, actually in 2 days here at Kigali Paramount Hotel. And we will have more now for students and even for journalists in the future. Then we are going to do a research on the same, that I hope, because it's a trial part of the project by UNESCO, once now the main project is released, which will cover around more than 26 countries. In Africa. Already this project we are handling Rwanda, we are handling in Somalia and Ethiopia, because that's for Somalia and Ethiopia, they have in conflict. So when journalists go to report conflict. They are likely also to have some mental issues and trauma. So how do you help them to manage that? So even our students, they are faced with a lot of stress. It may be pressure from work, it may be financial problems, home. You know, they are young kids, they are also facing personal relationship and so many other issues. So it will really help us to identify.
Thank you very much for having time to speak to Semezane channel. We are really glad and we thank you for your time. And to our esteemed viewers, Semezane, thank you very much for tuning in to Semezane. If you haven't subscribed, just hit the like button there and subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye. Till next time.
I also wish you the best, Semezane.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.